Good evening, fellow YouTubers. Today I'm going to be reviewing another Game Boy game that I had as a kid and then downloaded for my 3DS, and that game is Balloon Kid. There's a bit of a story behind this game. When I was younger, my parents would leave me with my grandparents for a week, 2 weeks at a time, and when they would return to pick myself and my sister up, they'd return with a gift. And that gift, usually for me, would be a Game Boy game. And one day, after they picked us up, they gave me a Game Boy game, and I found out that Game Boy game was Balloon Kid. And instantly, I was turned off, because as a kid, I was kind of a misogynistic asshole. And as Balloon Kid, you play as a girl, and I kept thinking to myself, playing as a girl? This game's gotta suck. Bear in mind, I didn't know in Metroid 2 you were a woman, because I loved Metroid 2. Anyways, back to Balloon Kid. I decided I didn't want to be an ungrateful little brat, so I put the game in my Game Boy and was fighting myself to dislike it, because I really wanted to dislike this game for the simple fact you play as a girl. I know. What an asshole I was as a kid, believe me. But I played it, and I played it, and I played it some more, and I kind of got turned on by it. It was a fun, addicting, challenging game. You play as a little girl, and your brother blew up a bunch of balloons and floats off. And it's your job to go and find your brother. And you go through all sorts of levels. You go through a water level, you go through a forest level. There's even a level where you go through a whale's stomach. And eventually you find your brother, and all is right in the world. This is, again, one of those rare games where I was never able to beat it as a child. Part of the reason why I was never able to beat it as a child was because I simply didn't play it all that often, because I wanted so strongly to dislike this game because you played as a girl. When I found out that you can download it for the DS, it was one of the first Game Boy games I downloaded. I downloaded Metroid 2, Super Mario Land, and Balloon Kid. And the reason I downloaded Balloon Kid is because, simply put, I grew up. I don't care if you play as a girl now. Balloon Kid is a fun game, and I can finally accept that now that I've grown up out of my you play as a girl phase that I had when I was a little boy. The way you play Balloon Kid is it's kind of like a platformer, but instead of jumping, you float. You have two balloons, and you float in the air, and as you float in the air, there's balloons that you catch, and the more balloons you catch, the bigger your bonus score, and if you catch all the balloons in the level, you get an extra life. If you find the hidden Game Boy in a level, you go in and you play a mini game. And in that mini game, there's 3 pipes, or 3 chimneys, I always assumed they were chimneys, and balloons float out of these chimneys. And what you do is you go and you pop each balloon before it hits the top of the level, and if you manage to pop every balloon in the bonus game, you get an extra life. Believe me, you are going to need these extra lives. These levels are atrociously hard. It's a fun game, but again, like most Nintendo games back in the day, it's a hard game. The whale level alone is a bitch, and the last level, you're playing kind of like a factory setting. The boss is a robot. And there's fire popping out, and there's spikes everywhere, and believe me, it's not an easy level to go through. I wouldn't say it's as hard as Capcom Super Ghouls and Ghosts. It's not as hard as Ghosts and Goblins. It's not as hard as any of the Contra games. But it's a hard game nonetheless, and you will be rage quitting in a few of the levels. Especially the ice level. Believe me, the ice level, I hate ice levels. There's two things I hate: ice levels and water levels. This game doesn't have a water level. Well, it does, but you're not actually playing underwater. You're floating above water, so, you know, your balloons pop, you float in the water, and this big fish comes and eats you, and you die immediately. So I don't really consider that a water level. But there's an ice level. You skid around in the ice level because, of course, it's an ice level and it's slippery. This level is a bitch. And there's one part in the level where you have to let go of your balloons and go underneath a few corridors. And the last little area, there's a little platform. You stand on the platform, and the platform goes down into the water. You have to quickly pump up your balloon on this platform and float away. I hate this part of the game because I can barely make it to one balloon on this platform that slowly is the wrong word. It quickly sinks into the ice. It's a pain in the ass. This is as far as I could go as a kid before I'd rage quit. I finally got past this point of the game. I was able to make one balloon and one balloon only. Usually you have two. And then I'd float away, and I was paranoid that I was going to pop this one balloon, and of course there's no place for you to sit down to land and to pump up another balloon. That would make the game far too easy, apparently. If you are a fan of frustrating platformers, hard games, cute games, charming games, again, this game, it's cute and it's charming like most games back in the 1990s, late 80s, early 90s. I think this game came out in 1990. Go on your 3DS, go on your DS, go to the Nintendo eShop and download this game. I think it's $3.99, if not $4.99. Not a bad price for this game. I highly recommend it.